Your questions for Auger Hollingsworth. Brenda Hollingsworth is here. There's the phone number for you, 613-789-6559, extension 2803. You can also email us, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, Facebook, CTV Ottawa Morning Live. And we do have a question, Brenda, on the phone. Joining us now is Karen. Good morning. You're on CTV Morning Live.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question about long-term disability. I'm a 50-year-old woman who has been properly diagnosed with Lyme disease.
Okay.
And I just find we don't even try for disability because most people don't even acknowledge a disease that they can't see. So we're sort of discouraged.
I've heard that complaint before. It's kind of new in the realm of disability.
Right, and it's kind of an invisible injury.
Correct.
Yeah. So for someone who deals with chronic fatigue and chronic pain, it's difficult for us to find support for these types of things.
Right.
So I still work full time. I'm in an office job. Some days are okay, but most days are a struggle.
So I take it you work because you have to work, right?
Yes and no. I work because I do enjoy work, but when you're not feeling great, I've never taken the time to off work to try to get ahead of the disease. So this would be a good opportunity, but I've always been reluctant to even try.
Give us some insight into this case.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of things. Disability policies do usually require you to work if you can. So if you have demonstrated that you can work, it's going to be difficult to get them to accept that you can't. One thing, I've heard your story before, stories like yours before, and one thing that people often do, their doctors will support them taking short-term disability. And in Ontario and in most of Canada, but in Ontario, a lot of companies' short-term disability is actually medical employment insurance, so medical EI. And there's 15 weeks available. Now it's at the EI rate, so depending on what your income is, it might be a big step back. But often people will take all or part of that 15 weeks employment insurance to kind of get ahead of it. So that might be an option.
I'm wondering in Karen's case, for example, she loves what she does, but just not necessarily full-time. Can you go to a part-time position maybe?
So sometimes, depending on the support of your doctor and your long-term disability provider, that certainly is a possible scenario where you go from full-time to part-time, and that part that you miss is made up by long-term disability.
Are there other issues like Lyme disease that are more current in today's age that also are kind of still, defining how to react?
Well, there are a lot of diseases where somebody might only be slightly affected and somebody else might be totally disabled. And so that creates an issue. Like we were talking about mental health, that there is a huge spectrum of outcomes for people with mental health. And even the same, say a major depression, it might affect someone for 2 months, it might affect somebody chronically forever. So in those situations, the diagnosis is never going to be enough to get you long-term disability. You're going to need medical evidence about specifically how that disease is impacting you and what the expected prognosis or long-term outcome is.
You were telling me that criteria can also change in terms of the testing that they do if it's long-term after a year or two.
Right. So most disability contracts, yours, you have to look at your own, but most of them have, for the first 2 years that you're disabled, it's, are you disabled to do the job that you were doing at the time you became disabled? That's called own occupation. But then after 2 years, it changes to any occupation. So then the insurance company is looking to see, maybe you can't do the job you were doing, but maybe there is some other job you can do. And you have an obligation then to do that other job that's maybe less demanding.
Two issues I'm going to talk after the break. Number one, self-employed and also freelance. We'll discuss that and also the disability issue. If you have a question for Brenda, of course, you can give us a call right now, 613-789-6559, and the extension is 2803. Or you can also email us, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, and find us on Facebook as well.